Podcast, episode 215. Live with me today, I'm Brett. That's Hagen. Uh, as always, brought to you by Chinook Seedery. Get your 10% off sunflower seeds using the discount code The Skipper's View. Go enjoy, get all your sunflower seeds. Hagen, we had a lot go on in like the last 2 days since we went live. Um, right now, let's start in. As we always mention, Otani just doing cool things, and when he does cool things, he usually does them in a typically a fashion with a little flair and pizzazz. So, for those who don't know what I'm talking about right now, Shohei Otani is currently 2 home runs away from back-to-back 50 plus home run seasons. So odds he gets it high. The significance last year in his first year as a Dodger, he set the all-time Dodger record with single season home runs with 54. He could actually break that this year if he gets to 6 more home runs, which would be a lot over the next few games. Especially they might sit him. I don't know as the playoffs are, we're less than 19 games now at this point. So we'll see what happens with that, but he's almost guaranteed to hit 50 and then arguably challenge his number from last year. Hagen, do you find this hard to believe that Shohei Otani not only is going to be the all-time Dodger, he already is the all-time Dodger single season home run record leader. One, he might break his own record, and two, the Dodgers' rich history. How is this guy coming in years 1 and 2 and just knocking out of the park?
Yeah, I think that's the takeaway I have here is I was surprised that he could break that in the first year. Where obviously, yes, he broke it by about 6 home runs, whatever it was, his first year. But it's the fact that how many great players played for the Dodgers franchise, one of the most decorated franchises in all of baseball. How did they not have anyone that's hit 50 before? Like, I thought it was crazy. And then obviously we know Otani, he breaks the record. He's going to break it again. But we talked about Otani. Wouldn't it be surprised if he breaks it again next year, if he breaks it this year? So, and like you said, too, he would cut it close. So he's on pace for 54 right now. So he'd be on pace to tie it. But knowing Otani, knowing the Dodgers are only a game up on the Padres, and both of those teams have been struggling lately, they need to step it up before the postseason. It wouldn't surprise me if Shohei just turned it on. We saw it last year, right before the playoffs. He turned it on and just kind of took vault the MVP and really locked it up here towards the end of the stretch last month of the season last year, even with Lindor was playing great at the time. And then he took it into the playoffs. He loves the big moment. He's shown multiple times that he can take his game another level at the big moment as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if he can surpass his total from last year and set the new Dodgers franchise home run record for single season.
Oh, dude, it is insane to me that I hate that I use the word insane a lot here. I gotta switch it up, but Otani just does things, and we can't talk about him enough. And I understand there's haters out there; they're like probably sick of hearing Otani's name, but he's giving us no reason not to talk about him. And I think it's kind of, exactly what you said. The rich history with this organization. How did he come in and do this? And now he arguably has a chance to do it again. We don't know if he has a multi-home run game and really, increases his odds to hit 54 or more home runs this year. Plus, they're playing tonight, I believe. So there's always a shot tonight that he, hits a home run or two. Let's talk about Jacob Misiorowski. For those who don't know Jacob Misiorowski, open up your eyes and ears. He's the new big thing in Milwaukee. So he looked really impressive in a 10-2 victory, given it was against Pittsburgh. He went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run, had 8 strikeouts. He's now on the season through 12 starts, 55 innings. He's at 77 strikeouts in those 55 innings. He's got a 4.09 ERA, so it has room to come down, but he's 5-2. He's seeded only 24 walks. Hagen, is this I know Peralta's there, but is Misiorowski like the ace of the future in Milwaukee? And Woodruff's there too.
I mean, just by the stuff-wise, when Misiorowski's on, I think he's got to be the best pitcher in that rotation, which sounds crazy because Freddie Peralta, I think, is one of the most disrespected starting pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. You're going to see this year in the Cy Young voting how high he's going to finish there. He's just Mr. Reliable out there. Brandon Would have been phenomenal as well. But Misiorowski, obviously, he struggled a little bit recently. This is probably his best start since July 8th when he went 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run out there. He was struggled. Like, he's been, obviously, talking about he had a 4 ERA. Granted, he has a 3.12 FIP, but he struggled the last couple of months. So it's good to see him get back on track here, especially right before the postseason, if he can get a few good starts in. Because if you could run out Peralta, Misiorowski, and Woodruff 1, 2, 3, that Brewers team, I know they're the best team in baseball for a reason, but that team would be very scary to face, especially if they get Trevor McGill back in that bullpen.
Dude, yeah, and like I think they just had lost Nick Mears to the IL as well. He's been solid. Admiral Uribe is a stud. And who's the other guy I'm forgetting about? Their other starter, the rookie who came up, broke like a rookie record. He was like 3-0, and they sent him right back down. I think he got injured. What's his name? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Logan Henderson.
Yeah, Logan Henderson. I'm going to check on his health real quick, but I think that the Brewers just, I don't know what it is. They have it down. So Logan Henderson, by the way, 6 hours ago, he's throwing a bullpen session next week. I think he was injured a little bit. It was his elbow. So hopefully he can come back in. I don't know how Milwaukee will plan to deploy him coming up in the playoffs here, but if they can, they have that in their arsenal at their disposal to use. So would love to see that. Why don't you take these next sorry, what were you saying?
And real quick before I move on, I was just going to say with Milwaukee, we didn't even mention Quinn Priester either, who in 141 innings this year with Milwaukee has a 3.25 ERA and has been one of the best ground ball pitchers in all of Major League Baseball this year. That's how good this rotation has been for them. We didn't even mention a guy like that.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you take these next two?
Yes, we talked about it a couple episodes ago about how Brandon Sproat for the New York Mets, their one of their top pitching prospects, was getting the call. He's top 100 prospect. He took a no-hit bid into the 6th inning in his first career start out at Great American Ballpark as well. It was great stuff to see from him. Struggled a little bit with walks, but went 6 innings, took the no-hitter into the 6th, struck out 7, let a couple earned runs there at the end, but it was a great start, a great sign to see from Brandon Sproat here. Obviously, the kids have brought the life to the Mets. It seems like when the kids and those rookies are on the mound for the Mets, you have a good chance to win. And if it's a veteran, they don't have a good chance to win recently, which seems pretty flipped when what you usually think. But it was great to see that from him, especially his minor league season started off a little slow this year. I mean, if you look at his AAA numbers, they're not the best, but if you look at his AAA numbers in the second half, they were phenomenal. So it was great to see that from Brandon Sproat. He looked a little skittish there at the beginning early. You could tell he had some nerves out there. Fell behind batters a lot early. I think he walked 3 of the first 4 3 of the first 4 innings. He walked the leadoff batters, so he had a little bit of nerves on there. You could see, but it was good to see him settle in. The stuff was looking pretty good on him, so it was a great start from him. And then after that,
sorry, you go.
I was going to say after that, we talked about it just a little bit before we hopped on the show. In other Mets news, Juan Soto. Who would have thought that Juan Soto, in his first season in New York, goes 30-30, and not only that, becomes the first player this Major League Baseball season to become the first 30-30 guy this year. It's incredible. I said it to you before we hopped on here. I said since June 1st, guess who leads Major League Baseball in stolen bases? It's Jose Ramirez, and it's Juan Soto with 23. It's unbelievable what this guy's doing. I mean, if you just take before June, this guy was seen as, he was overpaid, he's overrated, it was an awful contract, it's only year 1. Now this is looking like his down year is turning into he's going to finish top 3 in MVP voting. It's incredible Juan Soto's doing, and we've never seen him even eclipse 20 stolen bases in a career before. And he has a very good chance of going 40-30 this year. It's incredible.
Dude, it's unreal. And I don't if you're not like the biggest baseball fan in the world or understand how like this game operates, no one in their right mind who follows this game would have put their money on Juan Soto to not only go 30-30, but to be the first player in the league to go 30-30 this year. It's like, that's how good of a player he is. Like that 30, and it's not the home runs, it's the bags. Juan Soto, he's not known for being a speedster on the bases, and now he's got 30 stolen bases. Like you just said, he has a chance to go 40-30, and the Mets, they have a star. They have he's not just a star. He's literally a top 3 player in the game, in my opinion. I know people are going to come at me for the defense or something like that, because there are plenty of guys who defensively and offensively have a nice mix, like the Bobby Witt Juniors of the world. But I'd much rather have Juan Soto. Am I crazy? I don't even think Juan Soto and Bobby Witt Jr. are actually, I can't say that they're not comparable. That's a tough take, but you know what I mean. Juan Soto, I just feel so much comfortable putting a bet on Juan Soto to be a stud in the box, to produce, 100 plus walks every year. He's probably at this point in his peak, like he's not going to put on any bad weight at this point if he stays in shape. And he's a thick boy. Juan Soto crushes balls. I just think, he's a perfect frame for the game of baseball. And, I'm just trying to look at the stolen bases. What do you think his most ever in a season was before this year?
I do have this pulled up right in front of me, but it was 12, which is achieved twice.
Yeah. And
but outside of that, 12, he's never gotten over 10.
Yeah, exactly. He's never gone over 10. And that was 2023. So 2 years ago, he stole 12. And then he stole 12 his sophomore year when he was 20. It's unbelievable that in year 8, he has this jump from 12 stolen bases as his all-time high to now he's at 30 stolen bases, and he's leading baseball at 30-30 this year. It's unfathomable that Juan Soto did this. It was not in – I would have never predicted this in my wildest dreams, that Juan Soto would have done this.
Imagine in December when he signed with the New York Mets and the picture of him in the jersey when everyone was like, this guy's fat now. He's gained all this weight. Imagine telling people back then that Juan Soto would have 30 stolen bases and become the first player of the season to go 30-30. On the fact, too, that he just signed a 15-year contract, and you'd think that, hey, we want to preserve him a little bit, especially when he's only 26 years old. You'd think the stolen bases would go down you think they'd be around where they were last year. You don't think they would go up by 22.
Yeah. So did you mention the other Mets who have gone 30-30 already? I forgot if you mentioned that already.
No, yeah, but he became the fifth player in Mets history to hit a 30-30 season, joining Darryl Strawberry, David Wright, Francisco Lindor, and Howard Johnson, who did it 3 times. So great company. Obviously all great Mets of all time up there. So that's very special company that Juan Soto just joined himself in.
Yeah, impressive stuff out of Soto in, year 1 with the Mets, with all the pressure in the world and all the reason to slack off because he finally got the contract. And this guy just balls. He straight balls. Let's talk about the rest of the field who has a chance to go 30-30 this year. So Hagen and I did a little digging right before the episode, just who realistically has a shot at going 30-30. And the players that are on this list, we got J-Ram, PCA, Lindor can do it now again for a second time as a Met this year. Randy Arozarena, Jazz Chisholm Jr., Corbin Carroll, Julio Rodriguez, Zach Neto, and Byron Buxton. So out of these guys, did you play around with their stats at all, or did we, do you have any guesses who's going to do it and who's not, I should say?
I mean, my guess is I would put up there. Obviously, you got to put J-Ram up there. I think he's going to do it. PCA would be tough just because he's been in such a slump lately. I think he's hitting around 150 against fastball since August 1st. He's been struggling horribly. But you got to put. I think Jazz will get it.
Sorry, as a reference, I was just going to list out their stats as you went through it. So, J-Ram, 37 stolen bases, 27 bombs. So he's 3 home runs away. PCA, you're out on. He's got 32 stolen bases. He's got 28 bombs. So he only needs 2 bombs to do it. And if he's that cold, it might be tough. Next guy up that we have is Lindor. He's at 28 and 26. It's doable for sure. Who else is on this? Randy Arozarena. He's at 27 and 26. Very doable. Jazz, he's at 27 and 28, very doable. Next was Corbin Carroll. He's at 26 and 30, so he needs 4 more stolen bags. I think that's a lot easier to do than home runs, is get the bags. Julio Rodriguez, he's at 30, 25, so he needs 5 stolen bases. Zach Neto's at an even 25, 25. And then Buxton, where is he on this list? He's got the home runs, I think. He's got 30 bombs, but he's got 21 stolen bases. So he would have to do some damage on the base paths in the next, couple weeks in order to get this done. That being said, so you got J-Ram's going to do it. PCA you're out on. What about Randy?
I don't know if I'm in on Randy. I'm gonna say Randy just because we just know Randy turns it on in the postseason. I think Randy's gonna turn it on because the Mariners are gonna need him down the stretch here because they've also been struggling lately. I would say him. I would say Jazz. I think J Rod, obviously, he's sneakily getting up there in MVP conversation for down ballot votes there. Zach Neto, I really want him to get it. I would say just the two I'm out on right now would probably just be PCA and Buxton out of those guys. And PCA just because of how bad he's been lately, and especially against the fastballs. Like I said, he can't hit fastballs the last couple of months. And then Buxton too. I just don't think the Twins are out of it. I guess I can see if that's something he really wants. I'm gonna go get this, but I just don't think for the Twins you want to be forcing stolen bases for a guy who's having one of the healthiest seasons of his career, who's had injury problems in the past.
Yeah, that's actually a really solid take on that. I think that Buxton being the, what he's been, injury, ridden the last few seasons, really his career, he's dealt with significant injuries. So I don't think him having one of the better seasons of his career, it's time to push it. I agree with that, especially because the Twins aren't really in contention. Yeah. Don't mean to bash the Twins, but you're 16 games below 500. So I don't think that Buxton will do it either. Let's talk about, when we were doing this, the one thing that you and I both noticed is steals are down. Steals are down big time. So, Hagen, I think you had it pulled up. What was the difference between this year and last year in total steals?
So yeah, I pulled it up from 2023 since that was the first season they expanded the bases and made them larger, and that's when you saw a little jump. So I went from there, and if you want to take 2024, there was 3,617 stolen bases. This year, there's 3,051. Yes, I understand there's about 18 games left for each team out there, so that'll go up by 100, 200, whatever that goes up, but it's going to be down quite a bit as well. And then 2023, compared to this year to then, we're still down 502 stolen bases from that point. It's just really crazy to see how low the steals are this year. I wonder if that's someone a team focus is just trying to be more selective with base stealing this year, because obviously, like this conversation got brought up because we were talking about how Jose Caballeros leading the league in stolen bases, and I think he said 42 what he was at. So we were talking obviously Shohei had 50 last year, the Ellie had about 60 or 70 last year. So it's just incredible. It's just crazy to see this and how much lower they have been. You think they would be within 100, 200, not down by 500, 600.
Yeah, right. It's Caballero with 43. Last year, we had 6 guys finish 40 or more. This upcoming season, we have one guy across the 40 line right now, and I don't know how many we're going to get above that. Chandler Simpson will probably get it. J-Ram will probably get it. O'Neal Cruz will probably get it. And Trey Turner was the only one that I thought could do it, but now he's injured. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but steals are way down. Steal leaders are way down. But it's just a trend to pay attention to because last year was like one of the biggest steal seasons of all time.
Yeah, it is just great. And just one more quick stat about this that stood out to me was just comparing this year, 2025 to 2023. Obviously, the steals were about 500 less right now, but this year they've been thrown out 19 more times than they were in 2023. And that's even with the game shorted, which I thought was pretty crazy.
That is crazy. Let's jump to, we this guy we are not trying to talk about, and that's Nick Kurtz out of the athletics organization. So I thought there was a really cool article written up by him, by Mike Petriello of MLB.com. And I just wanted to point out this about Nick Kurtz. He has 180 OPS plus right now, and it's the best on record by a rookie with at least 400 plate appearances. Let that sink in. The best on record with 400. So, all rookies ever, he has the best OPS plus ever with 400 plate appearances or more in a rookie season. This is what I really wanted to show you, though, was this graphic. I'm going to share my screen. And give me 1 second as we go through this. Sorry. I don't know why my Wi-Fi has been terrible. It makes no sense.
Only one of us got bad Wi-Fi.
No, I think it's me right now though, because like I'm lagging even in between tabs, which shouldn't be a thing. So I wanted to show this infographic. I'm not able to zoom in too much, but so Nick Kurtz right now, we're looking at the best second halves of all time. Look where Nick Kurtz stands among the greats here. He's 16th best second half of all time. And Barry Bonds is good for four or five of these. Judge, Albert Bell, Ryan Howard, Jim Thome, McGuire, Judge, Ramirez, Johnny Mize, Sammy Sosa, Ted Williams. Everyone on this list is either a, Hall of Famer if steroids were not in the picture, future Hall of Famer, and like Albert Bell. That's literally the list. And then Nick Kurtz. How many former MVPs are on this list? As well, like Ryan Howard, Christian Yelich. This is insane that he's like up here with these guys as a rookie. He's a rookie. So I really appreciate, Mike Petriello putting this all together. I think this is one of the better pieces that I've read this year, honestly. So go check out his piece. I didn't mean to show the whole thing there, but I want to give him credit there. Hagen, where are you taking Nick Kurtz in fantasy drafts next year?
I mean, he's got to go pretty high. I'm not the best fantasy guru by any means, but he's got to go pretty high. Obviously, he's showing that he's not just a top first baseman in all Major League Baseball, not just one of the top rookies in Major League Baseball, but a top hitter in Major League Baseball this year. He debuted on April 23rd this year. WRC plus leader since then, number 1, Aaron Judge, 182. Number 2, tied, Shohei Ohtani and Nick Kurtz, 174. He has been on pace with Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani since his debut. It's incredible.
Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, not bad company to be a part of if you're a hitter. Not bad at all. Let's keep moving, though. Let's talk about Slade Cecconi of the Cleveland Guardians. So for those who don't know the young pitcher, he took a no-hit bid into the 8th this week. The big thing about this, outside of him being an absolute dog on the mound, he went 1 hit, 3 walks, 3 Ks, and 8 scoreless innings. He looked fantastic. The Guardians are making the American League interesting. So right now, and we'll talk about the playoffs here in a second, but I wanted to point that out because that was a big win for them to, kind of jump Kansas City in the wild card race. Last thing before we talk about playoffs, let's talk about Jeff Passan tweet that or comment here that talks about Kyle Schwarber. So I thought this was super interesting. Hagen, what do you think about these 6 contenders that he listed?
Obviously the Rangers, Padres, Astros, Reds, Tigers, and Braves. I honestly thought there would be a few more on there, but I saw there was also a report too that came out and they said Philly will not be outbid. Forgive me, I forget who put that out there. I believe it was Bob Nightingale, but I could be wrong. But it was saying that Philly will not be outbid, which rightfully so. I mean, I have had conversations with Mets fans about that we want Kyle Schwarber on this team, and it's how much money would you give this guy? Because we kind of came to the case that we would give him like a 3-year deal, and you give him $80 million, $70 million. Like he's going to get a bag, especially I know he's been slumping. He was on that around like 0 for 21 stretch, had the 4 home run game. Then he was on like a 1 for 30 stretch, whatever it was, until today's game where he actually hit a home run. But Kyle Schwarber is one of the best hitters in all Major League Baseball. It's year in and year out with this guy that he's just one of the most fearful hitters. He's always a guy you don't want to face in the postseason either. He's just one of those scary at-bats because he can change the game literally at any moment, any time. We know in the postseason, the home runs play. Most of the time, the team that hits the more home runs in the game is going to win the game. What does Kyle Schwarber do? He hits home runs. He's the only player to hit a home run in every single playoff series in Major League Baseball history, I believe. So he's going to get a bag in the offseason. It's just going to come out of the years, but I do like these contenders. I think there are a lot of teams that are going to throw a lot of money at him. I do lean Phillies that he's going to stay with that team, though, because I can't see the Phillies letting anybody else take him away from that team because that team looks very different without him.
You know what the funny thing is? I feel like the Phillies are going to get outbid, even though they say they're not. Like, I feel like they have too much money tied up. Plus, JT Realmuto is going to be a free agent as well. I haven't heard of anyone in their catching, like no notable prospects, and there might be someone like, who's in their system that they really like that I don't know about. That's not impossible for that to be the status. But like, I feel like JT Realmuto is going to get paid, and I can't see him leaving Philly. I also, I don't think he's going to get like a massive contract. He's an older catcher, but I feel like they're going to take care of him, and Schwarber is going to command a lot of money. So we'll see how it shakes out. But and who knows? Like, do you think they'll ever extend Painter if he comes out hot in like the first month or two next year?
I mean, I don't believe we've seen a Philly do those pre-arb deals yet, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, you obviously have a lot of money tied up already. You're going to be paying Bryce Harper and Trey Turner a lot of money. Aaron Nola, this is the first year of his extension as well, so you have money tied up. But I always prefer the pre-arb deals. I really like them.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't know what Philly's mindset is on Schwarber. Obviously, they gotta like him. I just don't know like how much money they're willing to put in for him because he's older, right? Was he 30, 31? So
I believe he's getting his low 30s.
yeah. So and he's only a DH. He doesn't play the field. And it's not like Otani where he only DHs, but like we all know Otani pitches as well. And he's just way better than Schwarber, both on the base paths, in the batter's box. He's better than him at every single capacity. So like, I don't know. We'll see. I find it hard to find a DH who is gonna like, if you look at baseball, who are the best DHs in terms of like payroll? Obviously Stanton, but that was a horrible, horrible, horrible contract the Yankees took on. Even though when Stanton plays, he's a boss. But Marcell Ozuna, I think of obviously Schwarber, Otani, and then trying to think of DH only guys who have like are big deals or getting big deals.
I mean, to get those big deals, you got one of the best hitters.
Jordan plays the outfield sometimes, though.
I would consider Jordan more of a DH because he plays a very shitty outfield. But to the point too, though, with Philly, it will be interesting to see like how far they're willing to give on Schwarber, because I don't think it's crazy to see them getting outbid at all. Because I thought they're saying they're not going to get outbid, but how much are you willing to pay for a DH? Because we've seen teams like the Red Sox with Bregman, where just, hey, what if we get you? I'm not saying Red Sox news with Schwarber, but hey, we'll give a guy $40 million a year on a 3-year deal, whatever. It's like they did with Bregman. I know you're not going to get that much for a DH, but like you could do, hey, Schwarber, we'll give you $28 million a year. If you really need a DH that bad and you're a team like in the Mets' sake, just for sake of conversation there, that you have the money, you have the owner that's willing to do that, how far will teams go on that?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell. Let's talk a little bit more about these divisional and playoff races as they heat up. I mentioned the Guardians earlier. So we'll start with the American League. So in the wild card, like right now, it's Yankees, Boston, Seattle. Seattle is on the edge of their seat as now Texas, who just claimed the lead against Milwaukee, actually live. They're only a game and a half back on Seattle. So if Seattle doesn't get their act together, Texas might sneak into this. And then top of that, the Guardians have the same record. Oh no, they're a half game back on Texas, so they're 2 games back in total on Seattle. The Guardians, if they flip a switch here and they get hot, not only is Seattle sending their bags home packing, there's a chance that if Boston doesn't get their act together either, that they could as well. And they have a much tougher schedule than the Yankees here on out. So, I say that as the Yankees are getting absolutely, bull rushed by the Detroit Tigers as we speak. But I don't know. I don't know. The American League is interesting. I think Kansas City with Lugo going down, Bobby Witt being shooken up recently. I don't think they have the star power to really make a run here. Cole Reagans is injured. I don't think it's the Royals' year to make the playoffs. So between Boston, Seattle, Texas, and Cleveland, it's going to get really interesting here over the next few weeks. I think the Yankees will hold on ultimately. Hagen, do you have any big calls, or do you think that Kansas City will be able to sneak in, or anyone else that maybe Tampa?
I say the same. I think it's just the last spot between the Mariners, Rangers, and Guardians. Obviously, we talked about a little bit how the Mariners have been skidding. They've won three. They've won their last three though, which is a good sign from them. But right behind the heels, the Rangers are 7-3 in their last 10. And the Guardians are half game behind them. They've won the last 5. So Seattle doesn't have much room. Does they have not much room to really screw this up here? I know the joke out there is that the Seattle Mariners miss the playoffs by 1 game every single year. That could very much likely be the case if they don't start hitting, because Geno Suarez has not been great since becoming a Seattle Mariner. Cal Raleigh has not been great the last couple of months. I know Julio Rodriguez has been playing phenomenal recently, but Seattle's really got to step this up. And I believe they can do that, especially where they just had the better roster in my mind compared to the Rangers and the Guardians.
Yeah, Seattle's so disappointing if they don't make the playoffs. Like, I'm going to be like actually annoyed because with their pitching staff, with Cal Raleigh in the narrative of this season, and we all knew second half GOAT Julio Rodriguez was going to come around eventually. In the first half, we knew that was going to come. We did not see Eugenio Suarez, swan diving off of the tower he was on earlier this year, the castle, because he was the cream of the crop when it came to the trade deadline. He was the number one hitting asset that everyone was like, "Where's this guy going? He's having a fantastic year." And by the way, I think I heard something the other day. We'll pull this up at some point, but I think Julio Rodriguez just entered or is going to enter guys that have multiple 40 home run plus seasons. Maybe that's what I heard. Well, I'll figure that out. But Seattle's just super disappointing here. I think we could jump to the National League, and I think that the National League has somewhat set in stone with what's going on. I think the most interesting is probably going to be the West, so we can start there because the Dodgers-Padres, this division is going to be decided like the last game of the season. Right now, the Padres are 1 game back, but if we're talking wild card in the National League, right now it's held by the Cubs, the Padres, and the Mets. The Mets are 2.5 games up on San Fran, 3.5 games up on the Reds, and then 4 games up on the Diamondbacks and Cardinals. I think the Cardinals and Diamondbacks are cooked. I think the Reds are, they're 4-6 in their last 10. I don't see it happening for them. The Giants are 7-3 though in their last 10. And I think if the Mets are not careful here, they can be caught sleeping at the wheel, and the Giants could take their spot from them the same way the Rangers, or the Guardians could take the Mariners' spot in the American League. So, Hagen, what's your panic level as a Mets fan right now with 18 games left in the season?
It's definitely getting up there a little bit. I said last episode, if there's any team that's known for a September collapse, it's the New York Mets. And I normally try not to get too into it and say, the season's over, we're back. I try not to do that very much, especially because it's very easy to do that as a Mets fan. But this team is struggling right now. If your name is not Brandon Sprout, Jonah Tong, or Nolan McLean, the pitching on this team is garbage lately. No one can go past the 5th inning. You're relying on rookies who have made 4 starts at most to lead this team down the stretch here. Ryan Helsley has been a disaster since coming over. Cedric Mullins, looks like he should be DFA'd off this team right now. He sucks, respectfully. The Giants are creeping up. The Giants are playing very good baseball. So I know you have the 2.5 game cushion, but if the Giants keep winning and you skid for another series, that lead's gone like nothing, and then you got to continue to play better record than them the last week and a half of the season.
Yeah, we'll see if the Mets are able to hold out. Just because of the star power, I want the Mets and the New York team. I do. I want Alonso, Lindor, Juan Soto. I want them in the playoffs. Who doesn't really want them in? Obviously, teams that are fighting for a playoff spot. But if you're a baseball fan just looking for star power, which I don't know why people are not. I want to see the best players in the game play in the postseason. That's just how I am. I think most people are like me, but you got those few rats out there that, what about the underdog? It's I don't give a shit about the underdog. I want to see star power.
It would be a very Mets thing, though, to have a $400 million payroll and miss the playoffs.
It would be a Mets thing. It just it would be rooting for the Mets right now is the difference between I would much rather watch LeBron play in the NBA playoffs than watch the Indiana Pacers. Like, I don't care to watch the Pacers. I live in Indiana. I don't care. And people are like, oh, Tyrese Halliburton. It's like, come on. Like LeBron, Steph, KD. Those are the stars I need to see, like, showing out. Maybe those are just the guys from my generation. Halliburton's like the new age coming, but we're not a basketball show, so I'm not going to talk about the NBA anymore. Let's talk about some news and injuries this week. So I mentioned earlier, Trey Turner, he exited the game on Sunday with a right hamstring strain. He's going to hit the 10-day IL. This really sucks as he's been awesome this year, to say the least. And he was one of the guys we looked at for 30-30. Now he's not going to be able to do it. He might be back for the playoffs is what I'm seeing. There's a good chance, but right now he's out for the remainder of the regular season. Toronto is also losing their, stud shortstop, Bo Bichette. He hit the 10-day IL with a left knee sprain. Hagen, are the Blue Jays opening the door for the Yankees to come in and take this division from them?
I mean, it's with the skid they've been on lately, and with the injury coming at a bad time too. It's the Yankees could really overtake this. I saw the other day the closest they've had to first place in the division, the Yankees, since I believe they lost the division to the Blue Jays back a few months ago. So there's definitely a shot for the Yankees. They can close it on them pretty quick. And regarding the last two injuries you just named too, it's funny enough, those are the two MLB hits leaders. I mean, Trey Turner is 179, he's second. Bo Bichette, 181, he's first. And third is Bobby Witt at 160. So they had a 20-hit lead over those next two guys. So hopefully Bo Bichette, granted, I have a bet on him to lead the league in hits, so hopefully he can get back too. And Turner hopefully gets back for the postseason. Hopefully they can keep that crown, because obviously that's something you really want to see. Obviously, Bo Bichette was led the league in hits before.
And, real quick before we keep going, I do want to say, like, if we do look, I brought this up a bunch recently, the Yankees schedule going out, leaving the regular season. Yeah, they're playing Detroit and they're getting work tonight. They're going to lose. They got 2 more games against Detroit. They got a series at Boston. And then their last 4 series, they go at Minnesota, at Baltimore, home against the White Sox, home against Baltimore. There's like that. There can be a lot of W's in that. And then when you look at Toronto, they're right now, they might lose tonight. They're in a 3-3 ball game in the extras in the extra innings against Houston. Sorry, I got tongue tied there. And who knows if they win tonight or not, but they're playing Houston this week, who obviously has their work cut out for them for the, playoffs here. Then they're going Baltimore, at Tampa, at Kansas City, home against Boston versus Tampa. I think that's a much stingier schedule, especially because, Tampa is sneaky. They play spoiler. And Tampa, they're not completely out of it right now. They got to play to the end. Baltimore's out of it. So I know Tampa's unlikely to make it, but they are still mathematically not eliminated. They got guys. And it takes one swing of Junior Caminero's bat to change a ball game. So I just think that Toronto, if with the injury, with the way the Yankees been playing the Yankees have won 4 series in a row, by the way, since that dreadful Boston series. So if the Yankees continue playing, Schlittler, he got blown up the other day, but he's looked fantastic since his call up with Max Fried, who's starting to look like Max Fried again, Rodon, Warren, Yarbrough's back. The Yankees have the rotation heading in, and now Stan's healthy. McMahon's, he batted .316 last week. He walks. There's just pieces for the Yankees coming. Jose Caballero leads the league in steals. He's a Yankee. They got him at the deadline from Tampa. They got guys and pieces that they can make this work. So I'm getting really hyped up on the Yankees. We'll keep going though. I'm sorry. Let's talk about, unfortunately for Chicago, the Cubs, who we already knew had an arms problem at the deadline, both starting pitching and bullpen. Closer Daniel Palencia, he hit the 15-day IL with a strained right shoulder. So it looks like his return to the season is unknown. Jameson Taillon, he came off the IL for them. He's going to start tomorrow against the Braves. But Hagen, how bad is this for, Brad Keller's going to get the closer role in Chicago. The Cubs have zero depth in the bullpen, I feel. I don't think they have a lot of guys that can save you a game.
I mean, before, I know Palencia struggled a little bit here in the second half, but that was the one guy you would look at and say that he has the closer stuff out there. He has the gas you can throw out there. that you would want out there? Because we already talked about all year that this bullpen seems very thin. It started out horribly, and then they went on a very good stretch, but now they've been struggling a bit lately. But rightfully so, Brad Keller should be the closer. I mean, in the second half, he has 20 appearances. He hasn't allowed a single run yet. So at least he's been pitching very well. Obviously, stuff-wise, he does not have the Danny Palencia fastball, but it hurts the Cubs, especially if he's not back by the postseason, because we'll see in the postseason that you want that high-octane stuff there.
Yeah, and then did you see what they did? They went out and signed Billy Hamilton, who's a 35-year-old speedster, to a minor league deal. And no offense to Billy Hamilton, you're 35. You haven't played since 2023. They signed him. Apparently, it took place, on August 31st, which makes him eligible to join the Cubs in the postseason should they need him. He's a career 239 batting average, 9.8 WAR. He does have 326 stolen bases, so he definitely can, move it. But he's got 24 career home runs, and he's played in like 11 MLB seasons, so he's barely hitting 2 home runs a year. Hagen, do you think this is anything, or do you think this is chalk?
This is just if I feel like if they want the speed there at the end of the season. Obviously, the last time I have Billy Hamilton's sprint speed clocked was 2022. And he was 82nd percentile. I'm not saying he could have gotten any faster than that, but you would assume he's gone down a little bit now at age 35. But I think it's more of a fun sign to see a guy like Billy Hamilton, who he's the speedster. It's the typical, almost like the Terrence Gore signings of the past, where the Royals would sign him and all those teams would sign him, trying to give the next spot in the postseason, where we see it. It will come to a point where base running matters, and you need the guy like the Dave Roberts. He made a name for himself. He's known for that stolen base in his career. Red Sox probably don't win the World Series if he doesn't do that. So there's just guys like that, like a Gerard Dyson. So it's one of those signings. I'm not saying he's going to make the postseason roster guaranteed, but if they do like the speed, they can have him up there now.
I just thought the Cubs would, if they're going to do this, take shots on arms, like guys that are older arms that you could throw in the minor leagues. If you need innings, we knew Justin Steele was out. Now you got Palencia out. You got just so many guys in the Cubs pitching that this is the reason, and I've been saying it all year, Hagen, is they didn't go out and get arms for Kyle Tucker. This was their audition year to make it work for a top 10 player in the game of baseball. Do not at me at that. Kyle Tucker is, when he's fully healthy and clicking, I totally think he's a top 10 player between offense, speed, and fielding. Everything about him screams top 10. Yeah, I don't know. If I were the Cubs, I would have been fully aggressive with what you had in PCA, Michael Busch. You went out and made moves to get these guys. You traded for PCA, you traded for Michael Busch, you traded for Kyle Tucker. You have Ian Happ, who's on a bender right now. You have Seiya Suzuki. I just thought this was a little weird and not being aggressive in the arms front, but we'll keep moving on. 2 catchers both heading to the IL with concussions. So the first one's Logan O'Hoppe, Long Island boy, shout out. He got hit in the head on a backswing by Jacob Wilson. Scary stuff. I can't imagine being hit in the head with a bat, even with the helmet on. I'm sure. Clearly there's a concussion. So that shit will kill you. I get so scared when I see that. And then Ryan Jeffers, he was placed on the 7-day IL with a concussion as well. I didn't see what the cause of his was, but both of them are out. Both are dealing with concussions. Dodgers, they got Max Muncy back. He was activated off the 10-day IL following his strained right oblique. So good news for the Dodgers, who've been, is struggling a fair word to say how they've been doing?
Yeah, I think struggling is more than fair to say for the Dodgers. They've been pretty bad for since July 1st. I believe they're 12 games under 500.
Gee, I didn't realize it was that bad. But hopefully Max Muncy, veteran, can spark a little bit. Obviously, some of their stars have had down years, like Mookie Betts has not been himself. And we all knew that coming into the season. He was sick, lost a ton of weight. He was dealing with health issues. And then, outside of Ohtani, Freeman, he came to the season off ankle surgery and was limping. And he's played a lot, but it's just he's getting older and he's been dealing with the ankle. So we haven't seen quite the Freddie Freeman season that I think that we're used to. And let me double check his numbers real quick, because I've had him in fantasy and I feel like it's just such a Freddie Freeman year. Freddie Freeman right now is batting .295, so he's having a great from the batting average, but he's got 19 bombs and 5 stolen bases, less than 80 RBIs. Like, it's just not what we're used to seeing out of Freeman, if that makes sense.
100%, especially when he already has such a high bar to set for how good he is.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's getting, like I said, he's getting older. But he's one of the best, and we just expect the best out of him. But I'm not worried about them for playoff time. I'm just hoping Muncy can help give them a spark a little bit. I would love to see Padres, Dodgers come down to the wire here. Giants, Logan Webb, he joins the 200K club. So he's been in the league 7 years. First time reaching 200Ks in his career. Hagen, are you a Logan Webb guy? He like is one of my biggest fantasy guys I draft every year.
I'm a big Logan Webb guy. If you're going to be getting ground balls and getting 200 strikeouts a year and throw nasty stuff, you got my attention.
Good for him. Congratulations, Logan Webb. Michael King, San Diego Padres starting pitcher, was activated off the 15-day IL. He's been out since August 14th with inflammation in his left knee, so almost a month. And Michael King's a stud, so the Padres really need him, as we just mentioned, going down this race with the Dodgers for the NL West. Atlanta, they had a bunch of things go on this week. So Sean Murphy's not going to return this season, meaning Drake Baldwin's going to be the primary starting catcher. He went on the 10-day IL with a torn labrum in his left hip, which sounds miserable. He's going to require surgery. So, prayers out to Sean Murphy. He has a full speedy recovery. He's a great player and don't like to see that. They also claimed right-hand reliever Alexis Diaz off waivers from the Dodgers. Chalk, or is this a real move for Atlanta?
I mean, I think when you're in the Atlanta Braves situation, this is the type of moves you should be making. Obviously, you're just trying to play spoiler at this point. You got some injuries. Why not take a chance on a bullpen arm that's struggled, but you've seen in the past can be a very good reliever for you. Worst case, you figure something out. Best case, you figure something out with him there. And worst case, you just DFA him in a couple weeks, or you just let him right out at the end of the season, and you'll DFA him in the offseason.
Yeah. And finally, Brian Snitker, the manager of the Braves, he reached a milestone 800 career wins as a manager. So congratulations, Brian. He's now what I looked up because I was like interested because managers, they're not like starting pitchers where like they only can get a win once every 5 games. Like managers, if they manage a good team, they can rack up wins pretty quickly. Like look at Dave Roberts. How many wins do you think he's had since he's been a manager of the Dodgers? But Brian Snitker's now 87th on the all-time list for wins by a manager, and he's been managing for 10 years. So what I found out was he would need another 10 years at age 69 and to win another 800 games in those 10 years, virtually averaging 80 wins a season minimum. And that would only break him into the top 25 of all time, which is insane to think, like 1,600 wins and you're barely a top 25 manager.
I mean, that's just insane. I mean, especially, it's almost like the wins for the pitchers too, to a point where we're not going to see another 300-game winner again. Where if you look at these managers, it seems like obviously I wasn't paying attention to the managers hiring and firings. Obviously, back in the 80s and the 90s, wasn't alive for that. But it just in today's game, managers get fired. I feel like a lot easier now. Like how many managers get tenured past 7 years? Like it doesn't really happen too often anymore. So you have to be a good manager too. You can't have bad years mixed in there. You have to be a continually good manager. I mean, even Dave Roberts, who's one of the best managers in baseball, he's up there. You just said about how many wins he's had. There was talks last year if they lose to the Padres in the first round, they should easily be fired. There was fans that wanted that. It's incredible. So it's cool to see Snitker that career milestone of 800, especially knowing that he might not return next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I hope they don't pin this on Snitker. I don't think Atlanta's struggles have to do with management. I think it has to do with injuries and just like lack of performance out of the players. Honestly, I don't think it's Snitker. Sorry. Last thing, the news notes: Stu Sternberg, he sold the Tampa Bay Rays in a deal expected to be finalized next month. He's going to retain a 10% share of the team. And, the outset of the deal is $1.7 billion with Patrick Zalupski. So Sternberg's group will eventually leave the partnership, but I think that Tampa Bay fans are probably happy, if I had to guess. I feel like the way the Rays run their team, it's actually pretty cool from a bystander standpoint, but I can't imagine having the pieces that they have and the prospects and then just never paying anyone to stay with the team and never going after anyone. And that would be a miserable life cycle. So if new owner, sorry, Patrick Zalupski, willing to spend a little bit on his ball club, invest in the area. I don't know if you've ever been to the Tampa Bay Stadium. It is a dump. I've been there. The only cool thing about the stadium was they served mango carts, one of my favorite beers, and the Ray Tank. The Ray Tank needs to stay. I think that is one of the coolest things in baseball, having the Ray Tank. But it's a dome, and it obviously got shredded to pieces. That's why it's not playing there anymore this season. They need a real ballpark. Then they need to invest in shops, towns, bars around this and really build up. Tampa Bay shows up. If you ever see Lightning games, those people love the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I'm not a hockey fan, and I know that. Tampa totally has the ability to support this team full through, sellout games, indoor stadium, make it AC, play Florida during the summer. I get it. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll probably talk about that with Ethan at some point. His thoughts. So one last take. Hagen, we talked about this last episode. So unfortunately for those who are, living under a rock in the baseball world and have not heard about this Philly Marlins fan situation with the home run ball this week. So lady, not named Karen, but she is a Karen, argued that a man who grabbed a ball off the ground, stole the ball from her, ran up. Philly, the Marlins department gave the kid who the ball was taking, the dad took the ball, gave it to the woman, and was like, "Here, get out of my face. Just leave." Hooked him up. Harrison Bader hooked him up with some gear, a signed bat, and what have you. So now a trading card company was offering, and I saw this, $5,000 to the Phillies fan who took the home run ball from the child, and only if she writes on the ball, "I'm sorry." Did you see this at all?
I did see this on social media. That I thought that was pretty funny.
So I don't understand why people are calling for her job and stuff like that. The internet's terrible place to be, but she deserves to be ridiculed for a little bit. This is totally again, like I said last time, we don't know the full story. Maybe he did take it out of her hand. It was not on camera. But taking the ball from a kid, whether you were intoxicated or you don't know the protocol, it was just at that point, just give the ball back. But you got into it with other fans. People were recording you. You're giving the finger. You made more of a scene of it than it had to be. You could have just gave the ball back and moved on. But I thought this was really funny that they're because I think that ball would go there's going to be some Phillies owner who's I'm buying that ball, just having it. But outside of that, that's it for me this week. Do you have anything else you want to tie off on?
Yeah, just a quick little stat watch here that I was looking at the other day, and I tweeted out. So Mike Trout, this is going to be his 10th season. Sorry, this is his 10th season in his career, playing at least 100 games. His lowest WAR total in previous seasons where he's played at least 100 games is 6. His WAR total right now is 1.4. Mike Trout is having probably the worst year of his career for a healthy season.
Funny enough, Mike Trout is a staple of Murderers Row, my fantasy team in the Skippers View League that might win the title. So funny enough, I have him and Merrill. Those are two big picks I whiffed on, and I'm still.
You still have a 35 game lead on second place.
Dude, watch me whiff it and lose to Grant in the championship after being up 35 games on everyone. I'd be pissed.
I hope I face you next week. I hope I can beat Nick's picks and face you next week.
If you beat me next week, I'll do a live beer chug on the podcast if Dean allows me to do it or something like that. Just something a chug bet or something. I don't know, but it would be. I'll let you be known. I would be really upset if I lost. It's not even about the money. It's about just like the pure like domination into like just screwing it up in the playoffs. But
I mean, that's fair. I mean, you have dominated since literally week 1 this entire season.
yeah, it's been a nice run so far. Close out. Thank you for listening. Follow us on social media. Grab your merch. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating if you've been listening. We'd really appreciate that. It helps us grow. Read some of the articles posted this week if you can afford it in this economy. Feel free to subscribe. It's pretty fair. We don't do ads on purpose because we don't want to spam you with that. Just help our writers who are producing content each and every day. Go check out Stat Soldier, Dean's new website. And then that's pretty much it from us. So thank you. Bye.